Hello, everyone. Welcome to this course. So in this course, I'll teach you how to create HTML forms. So forms in HTML allows users to input their information. So basically, forms are used to collect user information. So you've probably seen forms in some websites like Facebook. Go to Facebook, you're already a user, you try to log in, you'll be asked to provide your username and your password to be able to log in. So those inputs, those text boxes are created in forms. So in this class, I'll teach you how to create HTML forms so that you'll be able to design something that looks like that. Registration form, login form, other forms are designed the same way. So we have a basic HTML structure here, and all you need to do is to type the word form and create it as a tag. So inside the form tag, you can begin to bring in form components like input. So we have input type, and the simplest kind of form component we have is text. So if we have input type text and then we run that here, you see that we have a text box. We have a text box here that somebody can enter some information like here. So we are able to provide name, for example, on this text box. So we can create as many text boxes as we want. Okay, so we have about 3 text boxes. So if I run this again, you see different text boxes. We have this one, we have this one. Okay, so this is how you create a form. It's very easy, just a simple liner. You open and close the tag. This kind of tag is called self-closing tag. It's not like this. You don't do it this way. You don't have input and then close it like input. No, you don't do that like this. You don't close it like this. So instead, you open and close it inside, which is called self-closing tag. So we have other form components we would like to discuss. So let me copy that. So the next type of form component we would like to discuss is text area. So if we were to have a large, text, okay, maybe comments from users, we won't use one line text. You will use a text area so that it can get into 3 different lines or 4, depending. So we can have a text area like this, and then that is text area. So this one opens and closes. This one is not self-closing. So we have a text area like that. Once you do that, then you have a text area. I think I didn't save that here. You have a text area here, okay? So we have a text area. So let's just break it so that we go into different, let's use BR tag twice so that we go to other lines. So we have, let me make this smaller. Okay. So we have the text box, which is the input, and this is the text area. Okay. So this is pretty much how to create forms. You can have the text area to have columns and rows, how many columns you want for it, and rows, like we can say 10, 20 rows. Let's see how that works. So it extends rows, just the number of lines you type the text. So you can increase it to 4, make it 3, but I think by default is 3 something. So we can leave it at 4 there. So we can add labels as well. There are form inputs called labels. So a label allows us to write a text inside the form. So we can have name, for instance, and then the label for text area can be comments, for instance. Then we also need to break this so that we have the nice spacing. So, okay, so it looks good. If you wanted the name to be here and then the form component goes to the next line, all you need is PR to break it out of that line. So this is very basic stuff. There are better ways of doing this. So it looks good like this. It looks good. It looks good. So we have other form components like we have drop down list. So in HTML, we don't call it drop down. We actually call it select. So select, once you have the select, you go inside and then you type options, option, okay? You can leave the first option like this, please choose, okay? That looks good. Then you have other options like okay, so let's see how that one goes. So we have please choose here that you're able to select, okay? So it's an option. Let's add a label for it. To add a label for it, we already have that. So to add a label for it, that's on our clipboard. So we can also break it out after that. So we have gender, for instance. Okay, so we have more form inputs like which other one? We have radio buttons, we have check boxes, we have other ones. Let's just play with the check boxes. Okay, input type, checkbox. I guess that's how it's done. Okay, so we have a checkbox here that you can check or uncheck. So for instance, the checkbox for this one, you're only allowed to, for select drop-down list, you're only allowed to select one option, whereas for checkboxes, you can select multiple options. So let's make that beautiful as well. So we have label for there. Maybe which colors do you like? Because somebody can like more than one color. Which color do you like? Okay. So we can have checkbox and then we have blue here. We break that. We have other checkboxes. Okay. So we have yellow. We have green. We have red. Okay. So somebody can choose multiple. Okay. Somebody can choose multiple. Okay. So which colors do you like? We needed a break here. Think after here, yes. So everything looks good now. All right, so we have which colors do you like? So somebody can say, oh, I like yellow and I also like red. So you can choose, even if you want to choose all of them or deselect yellow, something like that. So this is a simple way you can create HTML forms, okay? So I'll show you one or two other components that are really essential, really necessary. So by the way, let me talk about this. This input that we use to create our name, the component, the input component can be used to create search box. It can be used to create a search box. So where you go to websites, you see beautifully designed search box, find something, and they are making use of input type is equal to text. This one. So it's nothing too much, just they use CSS to make it more beautiful. So also worthy of mention is that we need buttons, and then we need, I think I'll just show you how to use password and date. Now, say you wanted a password here on your form. So what you do is you have another label, and then you say create a unique password. Okay. So how do we create that? So we use input type, the same input that we used here. So instead of input type is equal to text, we have input type is equal to password. So we say input type equal to password. So the only difference with this is that, let's see first. So create a unique password. Let me break that out from the other one. So we have BR again. Then we have BR here. So it looks nice. So beautiful. This is what I wanted. Let me close this. Okay, so we have create your unique password, but observe what happens here. You can type your name, John Doe, but over here, whatever you type is hidden. So why is hidden is so that if you're in a public, maybe cyber cafe, public place, you don't want to type your password and it's being exposed. Somebody who's looking at your screen would see your password. So it's hidden, and that is done only by this keyword type password. Okay, that's how you make your password component to be hidden. Now, one other input I would like to show is date, how to bring in dates into your input. Now we have input type is equal to date. That's all you need to do. This works especially with HTML5. Okay, so we have date. So you can select a date. Let's say date of birth. So let's create a column for that. So we have this copied, and then once we start working with CSS using forms, we will not be using this BR. It's just for the meantime. So this is not the right way of doing things. So we have a label for it, label, okay. Then we break it again. So we have label, date of birth, for instance. So the user can select his date of birth here, something like that. You can actually go to other years. You can go, it takes up to 19 something. So you can choose a date here, choose any date, and then it's recorded here. Okay, you can type a unique password. You can select the colors you like. You can choose your gender. You can add more comments. And you can add your name. So you've actually filled the form the way we see it on websites. So one last thing I'll show you about forms today is I will show you how to create buttons. I'll show you how to create buttons. So to create buttons, you also need input. There are two ways of creating buttons, depending on what you want to do with the button. So the way I like to do it, if I want to use the button with a programming language on the back end, if I want to use the button with PHP or with Python, a backend programming language, I often use input, and this is the best approach so that you'll be able to get the name. For instance, the name of this button that you supply here, you'll be able to call it from your programming language, from your backend programming. But if I want to use it with a front end framework or just using it on HTML, I can prefer to use button, because what you don't really need the name, and then button goes well with the front end, so that React, for instance, JavaScript, you'll be able to get the on-click event on the button. So whichever of these ways, any of these ways work, just depends on which one you want to use and for what reason. So I'll first of all show you how to use this one. All you need to do is to input types is equal to submit. Submit, okay? Let's just call this one as well, submit. So this is the way you create it if it's just for HTML of some front end, and this is the way you create it for the back end. So we will see that both buttons look alike. So we have two submit buttons. This is actually for the back end, the front end. So you don't get any difference here. Okay, so you can choose to use any of them. Now to add a name to your button, by default, your button will give you the submit name. Okay, so to add a unique name, you might just like to say value. You won't use name, you use value. So we can say create an account, for instance, and then add any text you want. And there you go. So it's still with a button functionality, Okay, the same. So, and over here, if you wanted to change the text, you can just say login now, something like that. So it works. It works. So this is pretty much how to create forms, very simple forms in HTML. I know there are a couple of things you will improve on this form. So in the B part of this course, of this form class, I will be able to add more attributes to each of these HTML components. So I'll be able to add attributes like placeholders and the rest, which you need to use to make your form more efficient. So that is it for this class, and I hope you enjoyed this class. Don't forget to like the video and drop a comment, and then subscribe to the channel. Thank you.